back to another exciting episode of Cyber Defense TV. I'm your host, Gary Malevsky, the publisher of Cyber Defense Magazine. In my hot seat today is a very special guest. Now, Renee Burton is the senior threat researcher for cyber intelligence at a really cool company, Infoblox, and today we're congratulating her and we're talking about how she's a top 100 woman in cybersecurity. Renee, welcome and congratulations.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Quite an honor.
So tell us a little bit about your background. What drew you into cybersecurity and what do you see kind of on the landscape today?
Yeah, so I joined the National Security Agency after finishing my PhD. I find it like such an exciting area because you can use all the math background, which is now data science, in order to basically hunt down the bad guys and help people. And then I left government a couple of years ago. I have been with Infoblox for a little over 2 years now.
So when you talk about math, are we talking about machine learning, ML and AI? Is this really, is this the time-based security formula where we've got to go a little bit faster to catch up with the bad guys?
Yeah, exactly. So we are really working in that machine learning area, pattern discovery. So really focused on actor discovery, as well as we also use our machine learning for like false positive mitigation. So if you can, you can imagine, right, the cyber intel world where the more and more you do, the more you automate, the more you bring in sandboxes, the more you bring in algorithms, you just create larger and larger blacklists. And the danger of that is that those false positive rates, which might be really small, suddenly against a very large volume of data are blocking your customers from what their important business is, whether it be a supply chain of their own or themselves, right? So we also use machine learning for our whitelisting, as well as things like threat actor discovery and finding patterns in the data. It's very exciting to bring all that math background into intelligence, basically.
So are there things you can share with us that you learned at the NSA that you feel really helped you come into the commercial sector and be really good at cybersecurity?
Yeah, so definitely the notion of discovery and intelligence, the intelligence production concepts, all of that discipline that is part of government is extraordinarily helpful when you're coming into industry and you need to think about a problem it's a very extremely similar thing, both in terms of data and the problem solving. But the government has a lot more experience in it, in a lot of ways, particularly in that mechanics of how I do process and critical thinking so that I can ensure I'm delivering the best product, the highest fidelity I can. So that in particular has been really helpful for me. As well as bringing in, I think that cryptanalytic background, which is really oriented towards discovery, has been very helpful in my work here in the industry.
Sounds great. Renee, when you started out in our field and now you're doing threat research at Infoblox, did you see patterns or behaviors in the bad guys that are standardized, or are they getting more out of band wild things that are hard to detect? Are they smarter at counterveillance today than they were before, or are they all using the same tools? Like, what are you seeing in patterns in threat research?
Yeah, I think we see both, right? So you still see these attempted attacks, at least, which must be successful enough because they keep using them on really old technology, right? Windows 7 still a thing, and then you're seeing really sophisticated techniques as they learn from reading the literature, right? They have the internet, they're going out, they're reading what's out there, figuring out how our techniques work, how machine learning works. You see adversarial machine learning being used to try and prevent detection at a variety of different things. There's just no doubt that they're responding to cybersecurity, cybersecurity researchers and what we publish.
So some of the smartest threat actors are learning from your threat research, saying, okay, we better outmaneuver them now that they know we're doing this. Now we need more and more people in cybersecurity, but as a top woman in cyber, you broke the glass ceiling. So How do we get more women in cyber? What would you tell young ladies in high school today?
Yeah, I think we need to get them earlier. In particular, we really see that shift of girls as they go from, say, fifth or sixth grade and into that middle school. That's where we see this decline of the interest and excitement about STEM. I don't think our high schools are doing any better by our students than they did in the 1980s in terms of computer science education. I think most people in computer science would agree with that, right? That all of our students can go through an entire high school, whether they be girls or boys, and not have any computer science background, even if they're highly good in science, right? Even if they're in a STEM area. So we need to get them earlier. When previously I've done programs with kids who are in the middle school age, with girls in particular, and teaching them about machine learning. That is a field that, while the computer science parts are hard, the conceptual aspects of classifying and clustering data and understanding what it means to be recommending and putting patterns together, you can completely teach that at a middle school. You can do cyber hunts, right? You can do those kind of role-playing things that get them excited about finding people and getting discoveries at a much younger age, and then build on to be able to learn how to code and do hackathons and things like that. But there are other aspects of cyber intelligence that are out there in particular. And I think by exposing students to the whole life cycle of cyber threat and the impacts on people, even if they're oriented towards trying, if you think for humanitarian reasons, cyber crime, even that benign, like people think of it as, oh, it's just cyber crime, it hurts the pockets of people every single day on a very massive scale. So that might be something that motivates someone. Some people might be interested, like I am, in human behavior. Whatever that whole broad spectrum of people, where they might be very technical and want to just hack things to death. How do I get into software? That kind of thing. Like, take that and run with it, right? And try to provide. I do believe that in the schools they can provide that spectrum, just like they do with other sciences, right? Of role playing kind of concepts where you would have problems, you learn what you want to do, and try to get faster into it, so that you're not starting at a senior in college in order to get into the field.
I agree. Is there anything else you want to share with our viewers and listeners?
Not that I can think of. It's a very interesting conversation. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Same here. So Dr. Renee Burton, congratulations on being a top 100 women in cybersecurity, breaking the glass ceiling, giving some great tips, ideas, and motivation for some young ladies, even in middle school, to move in our field, which I think will be great. And then we will come back together again for another interview. So stay tuned and come back to Cyber Defense TV.